Has this ever felt like your story? You give your heart, your devotion, your vibrant energy to a man only to watch him grow cold, drift into emotional distance, and treat you like an interchangeable figure in the background of his life. The more deeply you invest, the faster he seems to slip away. That stinging ache of confusion grips you. You wonder, what did I do wrong? You've played every role he could possibly want. His loyal partner, his passionate lover, his endlessly forgiving confidant. You've handed him second chances like lifelines. You've excused his silence, romanticized the rare kind gesture, turned a single compliment into a story of hope. Yet he remains just out of reach. A paradox you can't solve. Always so close, yet never truly yours. But today, here on Mystic Jung Insights, we uncover a truth so sharp it cuts through illusions. The secret is not about giving more, loving harder, or waiting patiently. It's about something deeper, something raw and primal. It's about the male ego, a delicate, volatile force, one that doesn't respond to your kindness, but to your emotional mastery. The moment you learn to move his emotions not with words, but with your absence, your unpredictability, your silence, that is when everything changes. When you learn how to pull the emotional strings within a man, not through manipulation but through inner clarity, you awakens something extraordinary. It's not about chasing him. It's about letting your energy linger in his psyche like a haunting melody. When you understand the deeper mechanics of his mind, you begin to shape how he perceives you without even trying. He may not understand why, but suddenly you become unforgettable. He dreams of you, searches for you, feels compelled to reach for you, even when you remain still. That's the paradox. The woman who does less feels more and radiates mystery, becomes the one who consumes his every thought. This is not petty trickery. It's not some cheap game for attention. It's the psychology of power, feminine, graceful, and electric. The moment you stop trying to impress him and instead focus on commanding emotional space with your presence, you step into a new frequency, one that destabilizes his usual control. Men don't respond to being nurtured like children. Their ego does not crave kindness. It craves uniqueness. He wants to feel irreplaceable, like the only man you've chosen. But here's the irony. The more predictable your admiration, the less value he gives it. A man's ego is like a delicate sculpture hidden behind armor. It thrives on challenge, mystery, and recognition. When it's rare, when your reactions are too easy to predict, he starts to see you as ordinary, even when your heart is extraordinary. Here lies the secret few women ever discover, and even fewer dare to apply. The male ego is like a flame that feeds on emotional oxygen. Most women unknowingly keep it alive by constantly validating him, by being the reliable mirror that reflects back his worth. But what if that mirror suddenly goes dark? If you stop offering the expected stream of admiration, if you disrupt his emotional supply with calm indifference, something stirs inside him. That emotional vacuum becomes unbearable. The silence speaks louder than all your words ever could. In that void, he starts craving what you once gave so freely. He scrambles to reassert himself, not out of love at first, but out of need, out of a shaken ego that needs to feel powerful again through your reflection. Every time you beg for closeness after he withdraws, every time you explain, justify, or plead, you inflate his ego. But here's the brutal truth. An inflated ego doesn't love. It dominates. It enjoys the high of your submission like a drug, And like any addiction, it spirals into emptiness. If you keep feeding this dynamic, he may crave control, but he will never value you. The more you give, the more he takes you for granted, until one day you're emotionally drained and he still feels nothing. So you must flip the script. You must become the one he can't fully possess, the radiant enigma he fears losing. You must let him wonder, does she still care? Have I lost her forever? That doubt is the birthplace of obsession. So, how do you shift from being the one who pleads to the one he pursues relentlessly? With 3 weapons forged in the fires of feminine psychology: emotional scarcity, selective silence, strategic withdrawal. Forget what you've been told. Men do not obsess over the agreeable woman who gives everything. They become obsessed with emotional challenge, the woman they cannot predict or control. It's not cruelty, it's contrast. A man's mind is wired to chase what he can't quite grasp. When you become emotionally vivid, but occasionally distant, he becomes addicted to the emotional roller coaster. You've seen this. The woman who treats him poorly is the one he can't stop thinking about. The woman who offers him everything is often the one he overlooks. Why? His primal mind confuses challenge with value. The easier you are to win, the less he believes you're worth winning. So stop handing over your worth like a free sample, protect it, treasure it, and give it in fragments only when it's truly earned. Every time he pulls away, your instinct may scream, chase him. But the wiser part of you knows the truth. Chasing only affirms his ego and confirms his control. You're not here to inflate his sense of superiority. You're here to awaken something deeper in him. When he withdraws emotionally, you walk away, not in drama, but in quiet dignity. Your silence becomes a statement louder than words. He expects pleading, but you give distance. He expects tears, but you offer stillness. This disrupts his entire emotional strategy. And that disruption? It's powerful. Suddenly, he doesn't know how to win. The rules have changed, and he's lost in the very game he thought he controlled. Men crave to be desired, but never fully possessed. The paradox is cruel yet true. The more he feels secure having you, the less he values you. To break this cycle, you must stop craving relationship power and instead become its source. Show interest, but never dependency. Be intrigued, but never consumed. Let him feel your light, but never believe it shines for him alone. Picture this. He sends a vague, cryptic message, not because he misses you, but to test your reaction. The average woman overanalyzes. She replies quickly, needing clarity, but not you. You don't play by that script anymore. You pause. You respond sparingly, maybe not at all. Not out of pride, but from emotional strength. Your silence confuses him. It cracks the mirror of control he once held over you. Where he expected panic, he meets peace. Where he expected need, he finds elegance. And this is what throws him off. Your absence is now louder than your presence used to be. It's not just silence, it's mystery. It's the beautiful unknown that he can't read. And in that fog of uncertainty, the obsession begins to form. His thoughts start spinning. Why didn't she respond? Has she moved on? Did I lose her? What once was his playground is now foreign terrain. He's emotionally unbalanced, shaken by the sudden unpredictability of your calm. Your silence isn't just absence. It's an emotional vacuum, one he didn't expect, one he didn't prepare for. And inside that emptiness, his ego screams. He begins to wonder what went wrong, what he missed, what you're thinking. This feeling, this unexplained loss, destroys him in places he didn't know existed. His heart tightens, not from love, but from fear. Fear that he's no longer in control. Fear that he's been forgotten. Fear that he mattered less than he thought. And then, like a fire spreading in dry grass, desire ignites. A man can resist words, dismiss logic, and ignore even the most poetic declarations of love. But he cannot ignore the emotional silence of a woman who once gave him everything, and now gives him nothing. When you detach with grace, when you walk away without a sound, your absence becomes the loudest truth he's ever heard. A man will never become obsessed with a woman who acts like a servant. He becomes obsessed with the one he could lose, the woman wrapped in elegance and emotional mystery. Every time you try to convince him of your worth, you drain your own power. You whisper, "Please value me," even if those words never leave your lips. He hears them in every desperate gesture, but a man only values what he fears losing. He treasures what is rare. Your job is not to argue for your worth. It is to embody it. Let your actions declare your value. Let your silence highlight what he's missing. Let your flourishing life remind him of what he once had access to and lost. Let him witness your rise, not in rebellion, not in revenge, but in radiant independence. This is the part many fear, but it is also the most empowering. Let him see that you're not just surviving without him, you're thriving. Let your light shine brighter outside his shadow. Let your joy be louder in his absence. No drama, no explanations, just evolution. Rise physically, emotionally, professionally, spiritually. Grow without announcing it. Shine without begging for applause. At some point, he will feel it, not as jealousy, but as regret. That haunting realization, she doesn't need me. Maybe she never did. You become the one that got away, not because you disappeared, but because you ascended. You stopped trying to fit into his world and built your own. And that shift is what crushes the ego most. When a man senses he is no longer your only option, something primal snaps inside him, not because you told him, but because he feels it. He feels your distance like a chill in the air. He sees the glow in your smile that isn't for him anymore, and it terrifies him. His ego goes into crisis mode. His mind begins to spiral. What once was certainty is now confusion. What once was control has turned into chaos. And this is where obsession is born. When he no longer holds the center of your world, when your energy flows inward instead of toward him, he feels it. Not through confrontation, not through revenge, but through your shift. The power he once took for granted becomes something he desperately wants to reclaim. Most relationships fall into predictable patterns. He plays aloof, you respond with urgency. He sends vague messages, you seek clarity. He pulls away, you chase. But what if you broke that rhythm? When you don't answer his silence with anxiety, when you don't react to his games with fear, when you stop performing in his emotional theater, you regain control, not over him, but over yourself. He ignores your message, stay calm. He plays jealousy games, remain unfazed. He guilt trips you, stand firm. He appears only when it benefits him. Be unavailable. Each time you do this, you break the choreography. And when you stop dancing to his rhythm, something remarkable happens. He starts dancing to yours. He's used to controlling women, used to predictability, but when he meets you, the woman who doesn't beg, doesn't plead, doesn't crumble, he feels restless. You become the unsolvable riddle, the quiet storm, the elegant mystery he can't decode. And in that mystery, he becomes addicted. Not because you're dramatic or toxic, but because you're calmly unpredictable. You're not loud. You're present in silence, not cruel, but emotionally unavailable, unless it's earned. And that drives him to madness. He's haunted by your poise, your emotional restraint. The vacuum you create becomes the very thing he cannot escape. You're no longer the woman chasing him. You're the woman he can't stop chasing. Here lies the deepest transformation, not in how he feels about you, but in how you feel about yourself. You no longer wait for his approval to feel worthy. You no longer need his attention to feel beautiful. Your value isn't a reflection in his eyes. It's a fire that burns quietly within you. As you invest in yourself, your mind, your body, your purpose, you begin to radiate something impossible to fake, true feminine power. And this power does not beg. It does not chase. It attracts. Should he return, it won't be to the same version of you. It will be to the woman who has transformed, who stands taller, who feels fuller, who doesn't just love herself, she honors herself. And here comes the paradox. The more self-contained you become, the more irresistibly magnetic you are, because men may desire beauty, but they become obsessed with a woman who owns her essence, who disappears without drama, returns without apology, and lives without needing permission. And when a man finally realizes that he can't control you, that he never really had you in the first place, that's when he becomes consumed by you. But by then, you've already risen beyond needing his obsession.